Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the You Season 4 Part 1 review. Fucking hate that title. I am the detective, Trask now. I'm joined by...
I'm the capped, Kirklin Patzer.
The U of U's, Taylor Field.
The U of U's, okay. They said View of U's. I'm like, okay, Drake, calm down. But no, I see it now. So, yes, here we are. We are back. It is. I can't remember. It wasn't last year. It was 2021, right? Because it's got a little bit delayed. I guess that's why they're doing the part 2s and whatnot. But I don't know. But either way, we are reviewing You Season 4, which I think, I don't know, Taylor, if you've ever been on any of the You reviews. I feel like you missed both.
I was there for last season 3.
Oh yeah, last one was just you, me, and Kirklin. Yeah, I think it was 3, and then I think 3 was me, Jessica, and Dylan. So I don't know. It's been like an amalgamation of people on these, but I've been holding it down. I was there since day 1 with Joe Goldberg and a nice classic winter break. And you can go back. Those reviews are up there. And you can see how much we enjoyed the show. Do we enjoy it this time? Well, you have to find out. But Kirklin, I don't know, I'm asking you, but Taylor, where can we find everything? Because, we just dropped our Last of Us review. That's why, because Kirkland, you missed that one, but we'll excited to hear your thoughts next week. We had a newscast last week, which was the movie draft, so that's out there, which is really good. And then probably by the time people are listening to this, they've probably already seen it, but tomorrow's the big day, finally. We get the full image reveal of this, because, man, we're getting a flash trailer. After all this time, after years, after this movie was dated for 2018, we're getting a trailer and a bunch of other trailers, posters, news, and stuff for The Rock. What's The Rock doing?
It's my reaction to seeing that. It's finally here.
Yeah, Taylor, we got lots of content. Where can they find it all?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us at your connection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter, and GeekVerse is our Facebook.
Yeah, find everything you need to know down below. All the links, all the audio, the Discord, the Patreon. Well, yeah, Patreon, but the podcast network, our podcast network feeds, and yeah, Patreon. We can get, I don't know. I guess it's weird. I'm not used to doing a Saturday review. I've been very lazy, but you can get episodes ad-free, early exclusive, about 20 hours of early exclusive content up there that we've recorded just this year. There's past stuff like that. I think it's next Sunday. I think it's a Sunday morning one is going to be our next After 9 one. So yeah, that'll be 19th. Yeah, because we're doing it the 20th, right? Yeah. No, 19th. After Ant-Man, that's when we can do it. So look at that. Sunday morning. There you go. Look out for that. And big shout out to our Patreon producers, Aaron Braden, April Darkness, and Smalley Biggs. Big thank you very much. Oh, Joshua Wright, sorry. Smalley Biggs, no longer there. Smalley Biggs, what happened? No. But as always, we appreciate anyone that listens, whether you support us at that tier, a lower tier, or just download. We appreciate it because we wouldn't be doing this. The channel wouldn't be running live, anything like that without each and every one of you. So we really appreciate it. So, Florence, look at that.
Just we had the Last of Us one. I wasn't sure who to go with. We could do this.
Yeah,
we
don't got Joe.
This is pretty London-esque.
Yeah, you just want Florence on there. But you know what? So, okay. So, Sam says, Sam, Patreon, thank you very much. Hey, boys, only 2 episodes in, so I won't stick around, but really enjoying the different formula. Loving it. That's good. I'm glad you are. So, let's just do something a little bit different here because we don't usually talk too much before, but all 3 of us has talked, and we all, I think, get a general sense. Maybe something's changed because we kind of talk when we were in the middle of watching episodes. But is it fair to say that we are probably having a different reaction than what Sam's having, unfortunately, to the season?
I think maybe I don't know. I feel like this show's kind of tricking me a bit because initially when I started watching it, I was definitely it was very jarring. I felt maybe we'll go into specifics when we get into specifics and everything. But
no,
yeah, it was this is a very vague review.
Yeah, we're gonna stop it in 2 minutes. We're done. Yeah.
I just found it very jarring to take from where we were in the last season to where we are now. It's just like we're watching like an anthology show or something. Like there's literally moments where it just seems like nothing really happened. Now by like episode 3 or 4, I was like fooled. I was like totally just treating this like its own thing, and I was totally getting into like the you thing again. But then by the end of like the last episode, again, I just had like that realization of like where we are, and this is supposed to be like a continuation from like the previous seasons, and it's just it's hard for me to.
You went on there.
It is a roller coaster. I watched 2 episodes before today, so I watched the rest of them today, and I was definitely on a roller coaster ride between episodes. What about you
Yeah,
guys?
well, that's what I want more. Just like I don't know why I thought this, but just like a general, just because we always go around the room, go, oh, this, but it's like we all know each other's thoughts, and I guess it's for the viewers, it's always new for them. But it's just like, yeah, I just, it's just exactly what I worried was going to happen with the show. And I will always say this, that I don't think it's bad. I don't think the show, well, okay. I don't think it's, I don't think
the
it's
show
awful.
fools you. It fools
Yeah.
you.
Well, it's tough. It's the same barometer as I've said before, where it's like some of the bad seasons of Dexter or some of the bad movies that Wolverine, like Origins and stuff like that. It's always like you have this lead in this actor that you really enjoy and it's good in the role. So you always, there's like a baseline of like, I'm still enjoying it, I'm still in, but I just feel like it's not that because my perspective has always been each season has gotten better and better from 1, 2 to 3. It's always felt like every time, and I feel like each season I've had that like, oh, how they like, okay, how's this gonna go? And then once the reveal or the story really gets going, you're like, wow, good job, guys, you got me again, bravo. And I was waiting for that, and it never happened. But then what happened was that I don't feel like it's like, okay, it's not the best season, but whatever. I feel like it's just such a dramatic drop down to where we were before, and I think this is just an example of any twists they could do, they can't do because they've done them before. Like there's a few times like, oh, this would be interesting, but like, oh, you can't do that because they did it last year. Oh, you could do this. Oh, can't do this. And then what we have now, I feel like it's kind of going against the antithesis of the show because it is, in the most non-spoiler way, it is making Joe Goldberg like an actual like protagonist, like a hero. That was always the fun thing of each season of, okay, we're with him, but we know he's a bad guy. And at the end of the season, it gets revealed like, oh, you've been bad this whole time, but he doesn't really get it. Where he's being put up against a foe that is worse than him, and he's not really doing anything bad. So it doesn't feel like there's like a clear, like, oh, he's trying to redeem himself. It just feels like he's there in this situation. I feel like the writing is not great. I feel like even some of the inner thought narration isn't as like snappy and as good as it can be. And I just had the finale of part 1. I was just like, man, where are we gone? There's just certain things that happen where I feel like there's a believability line of we've gone way past this and stuff like that. And like, again, because I checked in with you, Taylor had watched it before you. And Taylor, you had the same sentiment that you weren't digging much of the writing going on. Now, I caught you at episode 2. Did that change at all in the 3 episodes later on? Like, it feels like we had a similar experience, but I don't know how yours ended.
It wasn't positive. Like I feel like, okay, like the way they kind of concluded that finale, like I thought like for certain like things were going to be wrapped up. Like, okay, like we're going to kind of conclude things like with what their characters learned. I just feel like, okay, why didn't they just do things this way? I don't know. I feel like, to me, the characters are poorly written. I hate all of them for the most part. And I think I hate them because like there's real people that are actually really like this. And I don't not saying like I hate these like those real people, but I just like these types of individuals and personalities. And it's just, if you put me in a room with them, I'd turn to Joe. You know, I just be like so angry. Get me out of here.
Well, then did that part good for you because you're not supposed to enjoy those characters, right? I feel.
I guess, but I feel like people would enjoy these characters, like, because I feel like this kind of representation is like what Netflix has been doing with so many shows and so many live action shows now. It's just like these are based on like real personality types. And I'm just not jiving with that. So that was my first red flag with the show.
Those type of characters though have been riddled throughout the show in different seasons. But the problem is that I've really enjoyed those other versions, like Carrie. He was total
Carrie,
like piece of work, but like fuck, I just when he was on screen, I was smiling ear to ear. I was just having a good time. Same thing with like the influencer chick from last season, Carrie's significant other. Like she was total piece of shit, but like she was still so much more entertaining to watch than what these characters are. At least for the vast majority of them.
I felt like it was still, because you're totally right. But even then, maybe it's just the amount of them, because there's so many of these shitty characters just all in your face in this season. It's like, oh my god,
Careful,
I can't
Big
process.
Wumbo. Careful. That's only for YouTube watchers. Careful, sir. See, and I think it's just that it's like Kirklin said, where you have those people, and I guess what ended up happening with that arc is they end up becoming somewhat better people. So maybe that can happen. I guess with them, they It's so weird because Carrie was also over the top, but I guess it was an enjoyable over the top where I feel like we're just getting into very, I hate to say it, but what the fuck is that Cards Against Humanity type of characters where they're just so ridiculous that I can't even. I could buy that their personalities are real, I guess, but some of the actions and the things they do in the situations, like there's one thing in particular where they have this guy who has like this certain fetish, and I guess what we'll say it to spoilers, but just like, why are we even covering this? Like, what are we even doing here? And this is the type of stuff maybe I would like and have fun with, but I'm not even enjoying that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that again, we've been here before. That was last season where he was with all the rich people that he didn't like, right? And this is just the British version of that. And I hate to say it, it's no shot. I don't know where she is there, but in the most non-spoiler form, I think this is like the first like you connection that does not work for me at all. Like I don't think that the chemistry is there, nor the dynamic and stuff like that. And I just
the
think,
female. So you're
yeah, with,
okay.
Yeah, with
I agree.
Kate, which,
I completely agree.
which the trailers show. Then we'll get into spoilers, reasons why, but. I just think this is the problem now when you get to this point. I guess we talked about this. I was at the point where you got to start winding down to a finale, or what I always say is they should have killed off Joe and it should have been Love's show and they should have went on with that. And I think that would have been a much fun premise. And to me, this season doesn't feel like, and obviously it's only the first half, I don't think we're nearing an end goal. It feels like if those seasons of Dexter where the show's doing really well, let's just put him in situations and put him in fun adventures, and it doesn't feel like it's really progressing anything as far, like I said, even for Joe, because I feel like they're making him an actual hero. And again, that reminds me so much of Dexter when they lost their way of, okay, Dexter at the end of the day, yeah, he's doing good things, but he's a serial killer, he's a bad person, there's a big moral lesson there, but that's not really the case here. And I don't know, and we'll save till spoilers, but man, when that promo dropped for the rest of the season,
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I didn't watch
don't
that
don't worry. There's nothing in there that's like exciting. It's just like, oof, like we got a long 5 episodes ahead of us. And I think that's the worst part, where Dexter was like this slow kind of decline, where this for me, I felt like we were on a roller coaster and we just went down right away. And I don't have many things positive to say about this season. I enjoyed it enough, but it's not now. I don't have that rush when season part 2 pops up in my feed come next month. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't mean like, oh man, it's back. Like now it feels like, okay, we could review, and if it really sucks, I feel like it's the show that comes next year, the year after that. Who knows if there's a GV review, because it's one of these things that everyone's going to start falling off of it. Like I got deja vu all over, and it's just, I don't know. I'm excited for getting spoilers, but I think this was a big misstep all around, unfortunately.
I will say again, this is not spoilers, because from the trailer, it's kind of got the murder mystery vibe to it, and I'll say like them trying to incorporate that into this was a nice change of pace with the familiar notions that we're used to from the previous seasons of Joe and his internal conflicts. But that being said, it was not enough to kind of save me. I feel like that worked for like the first episode and like half of the second episode, and then after that it just got into like, why are these characters doing these things? A lot of these decisions are stupid, and yeah, it just was not working for me.
Well, and that's the thing with the show. It's like it has such a good unpredictable factor. I feel that's one of the best things that's made you an enjoyable show to watch, because you never know where you're going to go. But and this isn't a big spoiler, but just with each episode, it's usually about, okay, is this character the killer? And you just know, okay, we're going to have to go through every character, and they're going to get like a half episode. And, like obviously we get, some info of who it could be or who it could not be, but it gets very formulaic, and it feels almost like, what's the term for procedural TV? Like it feels like Law and Order in a sense, where it's like, how it's going to start, end, and what we're going to go for.
That was the feeling I was getting in the first few, like probably just in the first episode. I feel like they rammed a lot of those you-isms in there, where it's just like, oh, let's go back to doing what I'm good at, and he like throws on his cap. There's like a couple like quick shots of him just like around corner, and like just like the pacing of those sequences, it seemed like, okay guys, we're just gonna cram in all this stuff so that people remember that it's the you the scene. We're gonna have a lady just masturbating in her window, because that just gets Joe going again. And yeah, like there was so many of those things that, okay, this feels like the show You, because I saw this already, but like that's where I was making the comparisons where it felt almost like an anthology story, whereas like it had no connection to what Joe has gone through.
No.
Like there's like no repercussion of what happened other than like one really corny scene where he gets shot. Spoiler alert, in the toe, and it doesn't get him. I forgot we
Yeah.
were in spoiler-free section, but still, and it just like does nothing. It's like, oh yeah, he forgot a toe. He's already gone on adventures before. So that was the hardest thing for me, because like I was saying in episode 3 or 4, I think I was getting into the whole crime aspect, or murder mystery aspect of it, and like getting intrigued a little bit with the story. Sorry, Sam, spoiled the whole show for you. But like that's again where I kind of just had to remind myself of like what I was watching, how many seasons I'm already in. Like Travis, your point, you're talking about like the wind down period. I'm not getting that vibe at all so far in
No.
this first part of this season. So I'm like, okay, like he's not going to be done by the end of the season, so that means that we're going to be getting at least one more. And like thinking about like last season's events, I feel like that could have been a great build up to a finale, and then obviously we're shifting places going across the pond, and it
I
just
feel like we all agreed at the end of last year, like, okay, this seems like we're nearing an end point, and now this feels like a reboot. It feels like Dexter New Blood,
yeah.
but like it hasn't been 10 years. Like the way, like, okay, Dexter's doing this now, and he's his family. It's like, and you get that old Dexter, and then it's like, okay, now we got to wind down the story, but it hasn't been a reboot. It's just a year and some later, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, we'll get it. We'll get into spoilers now, so we don't, get into any other territories and whatnot. I think we all. I don't know. I recommend it for like I think you have to watch it for yourself, and I think that people will like it in I don't know, levels. I think everyone will have a different opinion. I don't think it's going to be like a universal it's so bad, but just my worry is that okay, this is the responding effects to what we got last year, and if we continue to get more, maybe who knows, maybe something happens in part 2 where it does start to feel like, hey, the wind down's going to come down next year, but it doesn't feel like that. And for me, I just feel like it's going to have varying degrees of. I don't think a show like this that they've put with these 5 episodes can be that trending hot topic show like the first 3 seasons were, when it was that, like, I feel like people would talk about it and everyone would be really excited and like, oh, what's show gonna get up to? Now I feel like, oh, it's what show's gonna get up to. It's that redundancy of, okay, it's kind of same old. The show's, it's funny, it's a murder mystery, but to me it's lost all its urgency, which is like the worst thing you can do here. So yeah, I recommend it, but I am very curious to see what the excitement level is for that part 2, because I certainly don't have it, and I don't think a lot of people are going to have it, because even Emma, who like to see a bit more of me, when we watched that preview, it's only 30 seconds, she's like, I have no interest at all in what this is, because it's like a mini sport, but it looks very like an action movie type of like season where it's very like Joe's doing a bunch, like there's lots
Mission
of fighting.
Impossible.
He has to steal the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, like that's all saying, like there's lots of fighting, and it's just like I don't tune into, like, there of course there could be fighting in you, but I don't tune into the show for these reasons. So do you guys have anything to say on the recommendation? Because I imagine people that already season 4, they're in it, but I don't know, like
it's one of those things where I guess I could say, like, you don't have to rush to it. Like, don't rush to get to the first part. You can definitely wait till next month, or March 9th, right? I think is when the second part is.
Just jump
so you
to
can
part
definitely
2. No.
you can definitely wait, because I mean, if you watched all 3 seasons already, you're probably curious where the story is going. So but yeah, like for a newcomer to the show, I'm not saying like, holy fuck, you need to jump on you because of where we're at in this season. I don't know, kind of, what would I compare that to? What's a good show that's coming out right now that's really good? The latest Euphoria season. If I watch that and I'm like, oh my god, guys, if you haven't seen the show, Taylor Field, you got to get on there. I actually don't know if Taylor would love that show, but still, you get the point. I feel like it's not, the season's not doing a lot to get like new viewers in, which is very unfortunate, because like you already mentioned, Travis, when those first couple, like, I was kind of late to the game too. I think I joined season 1 after it was already after our review was already up, but then like when I got into it, I couldn't wait. I just wanted to engulf all this content, and now where we're at, it's sad to see how much it's fallen off.
Well, it's funny too because like it's a minor spoiler, but at the beginning, I think it's episode 1 or 2, he says, "I'm like, oh, I'm in a murder mystery, the lowest form of writing," and it's supposed to be like a good like fourth wall break joke, but like it unfortunately feels like that for this show, where the other seasons to me never felt like that. They always felt so clever, and I'm not saying they're perfect. There's definitely cons in there and some stuff that you had to maybe hand wave, but if like the rest of the stuff, the character dynamics, the shifting was so good, and I just wonder too if it's like a. Maybe I'm just saying that because I'm a big Love and Victoria fan, but it is a shift where last season we did have Joe, but then the entire whole half that season was following Love around, right? And we're back to Joe. And I think it just sucks that like we're back to Joe and the story's not interesting that Joe's in, So it's not only, oh, we've lost Love, it's what Joe's doing is not interesting at all. And what sucks is season 3 doesn't really have like you could watch and end it there because it ends with him following Marianne, right? So it's like I feel like the other seasons almost I guess not. They've all kind of ended in like a cliffhanger-y way. So I wish season 3 now ended in a cliffhanger or a non-cliffhanger way. So you can be like, I could tell people like you could end it right there and then come back later if you really need to. But no, because he's up to it. But yeah, Taylor, anything final thoughts for non-spoilers before we get into the nitty-gritty, the pie of it all?
I feel like Joe should be wiser at this point of his life in this season after 3 seasons of this stuff that he's gone through. No. But I hate how, again, he's always so emotionally compromised. And this isn't a spoiler, but throughout every episode, multiple times in each individual episode, he'll be like, oh, you did it, or oh, you did it. I'll find the evidence of you. And it's like, fuck, buddy, pick a target and stick with it. He's so all over the map. So,
I can't wait to talk about some reveals. It's tough. Well, let's get into it. So we're going to take our first ad break, and then, if you haven't seen the show, obviously bow out, come back later, or if you don't care, I think we're going to at least have some fun talking about this because there's some specific plot points that are head scratchers, but we'll be right back. And we're back. So let's start with the eat the rich killer, like what Taylor was talking about. And again, we're in the spoilers, so if you just, I'm giving you a little time. If you're shuffling through your radio or something like that, we're about to talk about everything. So Joe goes. So Joe, he's very confident on a lot of people. Some people, I'm just like, you see this dude get pissed on and he still thinks he's the killer. It's like clearly not, but that's okay. That's fine. we'll get into that.
Looks could be deceiving.
And that's where I was just bummed out. I was hoping I was wrong, which maybe Taylor, you had a better experience than something you did because I don't think the show's written that well. But from episode 1, I knew who the fucking killer was, and I was right because me and Emily had our bets. Emily actually did think it was Piss Guy because the guy in the credits, he got the and credit, so she's like, why is he getting the and credit? I actually don't know. I guess because he's in the show White Lotus, but for me, it was just obvious of who. I can't even remember his fucking name, the cheap knockoff Simon
Rice
Baker,
or whatever.
Rice,
I'm just gonna reiterate what you said there. Like, I'm mad that it was that obvious. Like, I hoped it was like the girl because I felt like, okay, that's a little bit
you thought
more
it was
of a
student.
blunt. I thought it was a student, but yeah, when you said him and stuff, and I was hoping it wasn't because it was so obvious.
Because episode 1, they do the thing where he talks to everybody. He's drunk at this party and he hates everybody. Everyone sucks except for this one guy who like kind of gets him, and then he kind of gets him, and it just felt like fucking Ice Truck Killer all over again. But who was your suspicions, Kirkland?
My first initial one was actually Kate initially, just because she was
Me
super
too,
sus.
a little bit,
and then
but then,
that's where I'm like, this
love.
is too obvious.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Especially like this being like the new you from his point of view.
We can't do this again.
Yeah. And then after that, definitely Rice, I think was his name, was sus. And like right now, I'm like trying to pick apart everyone. I don't know. I thought they were going to do like a very different direction of the show or something where like this is someone that he can kind of trust. And then, I don't know, the story goes somewhere else. So I actually kind of wrote him off. So, fair play to me. I would have lost the murder mystery because my next pick was, I thought they were going to do some crazy like owl order thing where it's actually like all of them involved, especially like when they're hinting at or not even, oh my gosh, what was his name, the douchebag with the gun that rolled or whatever his name was,
rolled
That prick.
when they're at like the dinner
discount
table,
Rami Malek pretty much is what he is.
when he was like talking like indirectly about Joe but like to Kate and then talking about like the father or like you know that
You're as
and, like,
bad
blah,
as
blah,
us.
blah.
You know what you did.
Yeah, I see the lies.
Yeah.
So it was
What
like
she
one of
do,
those
she
moments.
knows.
I thought that was gonna be where like they all know that like they're fucking with Joe in this moment, but then maybe like Kate is like really trying to get out of it or something. That was my theory like from that point. So yeah, I And then, but like when it was him, of course it's like, holy fuck, it's him. Like, no, of course it's the one guy that wasn't at this party event. He hasn't been
Yeah.
like talked to by the basically A from Pretty Little Liars. They stole that one for this show. But
Are
yeah,
they still?
have you ever seen Pretty Little Liars?
No, I'm not on the loop.
The antagonist is like, it's called A, and they just
Mhm.
like text our characters with like that's the
Oh,
sign off
okay.
A, but like they just text throughout the entire show. It's like, oh, I bet you didn't know that was gonna happen, A, and then it's like signed A.
Hey.
So it's exactly this.
Killer's Canadian in that show, right?
And that's like, yeah, like as soon as the like the texts were coming in, I texted Shay. Funny enough, with
Hey.
You wouldn't believe this. Look
just
outside
speaking
your
in
window.
rhymes
Your
now.
boss is dead.
I'm like the villain in You season 4 is literally just A, and she's like, oh, is it good? I'm like, not really.
Oh, that sucks. Now that I know that, because that just feels like such a, and that's where it's
And-
just like,
Like it's almost like a Gossip Girl thing where like
Yeah.
someone knows, and the funniest thing is that's Penn Badgley. Spoiler alert for Gossip Girl.
and
You got Gossip Girl.
I never saw this the first time in my life. Maybe it's been there the whole time, but Netflix, did you get the same description as me? It says Dexter meets Gossip Girl, and I was like, I'm not sure how Penn feels about that. Like he like doesn't want, like he did some interview where the reason he does less sex scenes this season because he doesn't want to be like affiliated with like a romantic lead again. It's like, all right, but like I don't know. You're playing like a serial killer dude. I think you're fine, but yeah, I didn't get any. So yeah, I knew it was that guy just because episode 1. That's a very Dexter trope of binding. That's the same thing they do in season 1. This had lots of things. He did the same thing as Dexter, where he put, which I'm sure lots of killers do, but he put the guy in the bag and then put rocks him through in the river. Dexter does that. That's how he gets caused to be our butcher. And Dexter, when he teaches Miguel how to kill, he teaches him to find graves that are about to be like filled the next morning, so put some dirt. So I was the whole time I was like, what the fuck is going on here? But I just knew it was that guy because they do the whole like, oh, this guy's he's a little different, and the whole season he's always like kind of like, fuck these people and I can make a better world. And I know Joe's like, man, this guy's really impressive, he's gonna run for mayor and be a killer, but I'm just like, I'm not interested in that at all. This mayor guy like also being a killer, like it feels like, again, that's the problem with these shows is when you going for more seasons, you have to raise the stakes. Now, luckily, you look at something like Breaking Bad, 5 seasons, the stakes did get risen. But what happens was they got risen to a point where bad shit starts to go down for all our characters and you can't really come back from it. Where this is just like, okay, now Joe is dealing with a mayor type villain that's going to have like security and money. And it's just like, I just it's just to this level of okay now, and also what happens next year when we get rid of this guy is like what's gonna be Joe
President
versus
of
Joe.
Earth. Yeah.
But like yeah, he'll be dating like Joe Biden's fucking goddaughter or something. Like you, like it's just like I don't know who Netflix would cast.
He's creeping around the White House with his cap on.
No security gets him at all. Oh man, he's fucking in the Oval Office. Jill Biden's on him too and everything. I can't let this happen. But anyway, so yeah, and I was bummed when it was him because I like it's a case of like I was happy, right? But I was in the same time because it's like, oh, it's just you, and it's just. I don't know. I'm not looking forward to what we're and even the reveal scene where he's like, "Oh, you want me to let you ungo your shackles? Don't think you think I'm that dumb." But then like 5 minutes later, he's like, "You were lying to me. You aren't really into this." So it's just like he was trying to be like, "I'm not a dumb killer," and then 5 minutes later, he's shown to be a dumb killer where he's like figures out like. Joe, you were lying to me. You weren't like, because that happens in the season where Joe starts to play along because Joe, of course, doesn't think he's a monster. He starts to play along. Like, yeah, I love it. Exhilarating. He's even like, you used the word exhilarating. I should have known. Like, oh no, why are we doing this? But yes, like you're talking about Taylor, for about 4 episodes, he was very convinced it was about 3 to 4 different people. He thought it was Piss Boy. He thought it was Roll. He kind of thought it was Kate for a second, and then he thought I can't remember. There was maybe he thought who's the artist. Shane, was it? Simon. Yeah, he was dead set it was him.
Of course you did it, Simon. He's gonna kill Simon. Like, fuck.
Yeah, but yeah, Taylor was not. It was not the student, even though I think the student has a good chance of being the actual you. In my opinion, that's what I think could have happened.
Yeah, I sense that there was some kind of something going on there. I think
She's
something could happen to
important
Kate. Yeah, like Kate. Yeah. I don't know. I think Kate's not out of it yet. I think Kate could get killed to be a subject of the rich eat rich killer. So I think there's definitely going to be an allusion to something more with the girl. I just thought that the student was in on it because she kept showing up at these convenient times. Like she was in situations too where she could have texted Joel as well.
Joel.
So
Wrong show.
Joel, yeah, Joel.
Fuck, get him in there.
But I felt like I was so sold on it. But yeah, here we are.
I took that student as just like Jenna Ortega from not last season but the season prior,
Yeah.
and then the little kid from season 1. I guess Joe didn't really have like that very innocent companion, I guess, from last season.
No, he had his
unless you guys can
kid.
think.
That's why he was.
Yeah, there
spent
you
on his
go.
actual
It's
kid,
always
yeah.
like one young individual that's
Yeah.
just like super innocent that like Joe can kind of just chat with, and she sort of ended up being intertwined with the plot, but I just thought it was like, oh, this is again we're hitting that check mark of like, what do we have in a U season? We have this one innocent young person who's just completely fine but interacts with Joe.
And it always doesn't make Joe look better, right? Because in the seasons he's always doing terrible shit, and it's like, but he's being nice to this young person,
Yeah.
and he's helping them out. So it's always this thing, like same thing with Ellie, right? Funny enough, that was Ortega's character's name is season 2. Is like, not why I named my daughter after that one, but like he's
U season 2.
yeah, specifically you season 2, Jenna Ortega's character. But no, like that's the thing where he's probably one of the worst in that season because he's helping her. You go, well, there's something good with him in there, right? And that's what I wanted to bring to you guys, and that's what kind of frustrated me. What the fuck was that word? Frustrated me at the end where he turns on the news. Apparently, his his cable connection is like from the 90s. Like every time he's watching cable, it's like flickering and like
British.
like they don't have 4K there apparently yet. They're still waiting. My God, but. So he, of course, fucking Simon's on the news, or no, who was this guy again? Bryce. He's like on the news, and he's talking about he's gonna make the world a better place.
Make America great again.
make Britain great again and stuff like that. Yeah, that's how Joe's gonna get involved with the election. The president's gonna come visit. Joe's gonna come visit. He's gonna have his
season's
goddaughter
writing
with him.
itself. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe's back, and they expedite Joe, and they like give him a full. What do they call it when you've done a bunch of bad shit, and they like clean your record? What is that?
Oh yeah, what is
You
that
know what I'm
called?
talking
Pardon.
about? Yeah, you
Presidential
pardon. That's what's gonna
pardon.
happen. They pardon Joe for everything that he did in the past and stuff like that. He gets to be Joe Goldberg again.
Just making books.
Joe
Preparing
Goldberg
books.
/ Biden soon. But anyways, yeah. Oh, he's gonna love the White House Library, man. He's gonna be all over that place. Fuck.
They probably have their own like murder box set up that he doesn't even have to bring his own.
I just want to see a scene of Joe Biden, Joe Goldberg together so bad now of them talking. Like, what the hell would they talk about? Yeah, put Joe in the Suicide Squad. That'd be fucking great. Dexter's there. Everybody. Oh, he didn't actually die. Harrison's here too. You know, he's getting his new show. But
If you want a
Since
good
there.
connection,
He's pretty innocent compared to them.
you can have Joe meeting Joe Biden. Joe Biden's
Yeah.
like, hey, I need you to go to like the Library of Congress, go to get the presidential book, page 47.
You have the national treasure president there too for some reason.
And you know there's gonna be some scene where the FBI or the Secret Service like order him to kill Trump or something like that. He's like
Jesus.
riddled with the decision for some reason. Because like this, he's like, oh, they're bad people, but I want to do it. But anyway, so he's he's becoming Riddler. This guy's looking in the TV talking about all his threats. He's not threats, but like, oh, he's talking very much like, if you know he's a bad person, none of this sounds good, right? And there's just this, of course, he's looking right in the camera and Joe's looking right in the TV. And this was the part where I was so disappointed, where it's just like, literally now our antagonist is a bad person. Joe hasn't done anything bad this season per se. Like, of course, like the former Alfred guy attacked him from Gotham, but like he was fighting for his life, whatever. He's not done anything bad this season. That's my worry now at the show is like, and Kate is seemingly accepting him. He pushed Kate away. He did the thing he can never do, which we're only halfway through this season, so let's see. But like he pushed her away. And even then, it seems like Kate's on board to be with him. So I just wonder, and he didn't kill Marianne. So I just wonder, like, every season eventually it's like we get that realization of, right, Joe is a bad person and we should be rooting for him to fall. But now he's like, he's the hero of the story, and he's literally going after a serial killer. And I have no interest in Joe Goldberg, the good guy. Like that's what of course you kind of want that, but that's what made Dexter Morgan or Walter White those great characters. Is you wanted them to turn around, but they just never could. And I'm sure something could happen with Joe, but what they've set us up, at least for the rest of the season, the next 5 episodes, is him as a hero going up against like a bigger bad guy, and to me that's just like like I said, it goes against everything what the show's been so far these past 3 seasons. It just is a completely different show now, which I'm not that interested in, unfortunately.
I think with Joe also in like the previous seasons, he'll like show little like glimpses of like doing the right thing, and then he just like goes way off the wagon, and that's where you're just like, are you fucking kidding me, Joe? Like, are you are you kidding me? And like, it's just so entertaining to watch because it's like, man, this guy, he has all like the right moves in front of him, but he just fucking veers to the right for some reason, and he's just such a chaotic individual that like, yeah, he's just such a bad person and like really lacks empathy for a lot of decisions that he makes. But in this season so far, like, yeah, like if I didn't see those previous seasons, like I would just label him the good guy and like want him to work out, and like, yeah, I want him to be happy with Kate, even though like thinking back to all like the just really fucked up things that he's done throughout the season. So yeah, this season has a very noticeable like tone difference from the other ones, I would say.
And I think the problem is now when we're in season 4, I feel like, okay, there's maybe a point in 1 or 2 that maybe you could have turned them around. But I feel like now when we've had 3 years, I know it's longer than that in the show, but in our lives, 3 years, this character getting worse and worse and worse. And then all of a sudden we're supposed to be like, oh, well, yeah, now I can get on board with him. It's like, I think he's too far gone. It doesn't matter that he's moved to London. Like, he killed Bex. He killed the other girl. He killed, like, love's, like, debatable, but he still, like, loved kill, like, a bunch of other innocent people. He killed other innocent people to try and get love out of the way. Like, there's all these. He put who was Bex's love interest in season? Not the guy she was cheating on with, John Stamos. Remember, framed an innocent man with a family. But sure, okay, he was cheating on his wife, but it doesn't matter. This guy got framed to go in prison for the murder of. Like, he has this whole fucking like blood trail of terrible things he's done, and now I just feel like, okay, we're past the point where this should be the ramping up again, like I compared to Breaking Bad, of it should be, okay, now we're really bad, now we are starting to cheer for other characters like Hank or someone else that have to take down Walter because Walter's so bad now, what's gonna happen? But now it's like, no, we have no interesting characters left because we've killed them all, and Joe had to move. So now, because you're the only character and it's interesting because the writer said this week that Ortega was supposed to come back, but she couldn't because filming a Wednesday. And I look at the season, I'm like, where would that have fit in at all in this story? Like, I wonder what that would have been, and that makes me think they will bring her back at some point. But what about you, Taylor? What do you feel about Joe this season versus the antagonist and stuff like that? Are you fine with some of these decisions? Are you missing out on some of the moral ambiguity? And I know he's always stalking and doing stuff, but again, he didn't really do anything too bad this season as of yet.
It's just totally different from what I'm used to, and I think again they cement that in that flashback sequence, which we'll talk more about later. But him just trying to be the good guy, I do enjoy seeing him be that bad guy, and even with Dexter too. I mean, Dexter, you have this character that was so like uptight with his code, and what happened as the seasons progressed, he was starting to let that slip and kind of poke holes in the code and kind of just play it to his advantage or benefit. And now with this, it's interesting to kind of have that opposite where he's kind of like not poking holes to his advantage or benefit. He's just going hard against the grain for what his practice, I guess, and just kind of like becoming the good guy, which I'd like to see him just be more of that like insufferable, just kind of like piece of shit that he is.
Because as a good guy, he should be turning himself in. Then, if he becomes a good person, he should realize, man, and maybe that's it. Maybe he does. That would be my ultimate hope to save this season. Of once he has like the face-off conclusion with the eat the rich killer. Maybe he has a conclusion of, oh, like this is me too. Like, I'm also a bad person. Like, I'm fighting this person. But I don't think that's gonna go the case. I think he's just gonna try and take him down, and then him and Kate will hopefully live happily ever after. I guess, right?
That's like also just not what the character is. Like, he is a psychopath where he doesn't really see issues with his decisions. But I guess you can make the argument that he does, because he does trying to slow down on like some of the murders or something, and then just something happens where he twists. But like, it's just such a push in the early stages of this season so far, where you have like the hitman guy come up and be like, oh, it's a chance for a fresh start, and he's like, oh no, that's a good idea, you know. I can just have a new life. That's what this vacation was supposed to be. And then he just does something bad, and then it's like, no, he should be like I should be making smarter decisions now. I'm done with that. And like throughout the entire show, I think he's been telling himself that. But the thing with Joe is that he never actually does it. He just does something like times 10 worse or something than what he had done prior. But that's the issue with this season, is that he doesn't have that, and it doesn't feel like the same character. And like you can have I think a shift of a character, but it needs to feel very genuine, and this one's just felt so disjointed. It's felt so different. Maybe if I had like a 20 years time skip or something, it's like, okay, no, he's very different now. But no, it's only been like how long since the last season? Less than a year.
Yeah, for us, like
I think
in
a few
real
months.
time, no, it's been a year. For us, like I don't know in the show, but for us, it's been a year and some. But I don't know in the.
I think it's been a couple months. Because
Yeah, that's
I
what
think
I
he
would
even
think.
said like weeks, months, or something like that as he was going and exploring like the art areas. So,
Damn. Yeah.
I have a direction if you guys want to abide.
Direct me.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to the Rich Killer face off. That the way with Dexter, we got Trinity and Binding, all these things. Like, man, this is our version of that.
He's the
like,
mayor
'cause-
of London, though.
Yeah, we're getting new big bads, and yeah, he's going up against the mayor of London soon. So that's the yeah. I got no interest in that, unfortunately.
Well,
so
on that note of the Eat the Rich Killer, so I think it's interesting that this whole like unveiling of this plan is just, and it's basically based on the fact, okay, this guy was going to finally get his hands dirty and start killing. And what does he do? Okay, Joe comes into the play here. And so he decides to play him by not knowing anything about Joe's history, that he was a killer, anything like that. Just he's an American.
I'm gonna frame the new
So
guy.
he frames the new guy.
Yeah, that's the
but
plan at least, and then obviously it changes.
he knew to install this app on Joe's phone just to like play it off. Like what? Like I just don't know. Like, okay, he was gonna frame Joe, and then what if Joe got caught? Then what happens? He can't kill anyone else, or was he just gonna try and play off of Joe's like being scared or whatever? Because I like that it caught him off guard because Joe was super calm about it and just took care of the body, and then it made him think, oh shit, this is kind of weird. But it wasn't like it wasn't his plan. But I guess his plan was to keep the framing going and such, because Kate was the next one to be kind of like, I guess, as a martyr, because he keeps these or not, was it Kate? Because the other person that got murdered was Simon, but then who was supposed to be framed for that? Was supposed to be the same guy? Like, what was his plan? Like, oh, screw Joel over again with this?
Well, because at the end of it, it's like he was gonna turn him in like right away, and then he didn't. And I guess it's just kind of weird. Like, so he chooses to frame Joe, and then or Jonathan Moore. We should have said Jonathan Moore. And then he finds out that he's not Jonathan Moore. He's like, "Oh, you're not the person I thought you were." Like, why does he care if he's just gonna set him to prison? Like, why is he even doing a background check? And I know you can be like, "Well, he's the ultimate villain." And like, but why the fuck does he? Why does he care if he's just gonna place a finger in this dude's home and call the
He
police?
has so much free time, Travis. It's not like he's running for the mayor of London or anything.
Why does he need to look into this guy's background, this American's background? And then when he looks into it, why is he? And like, I think that's just, of course, the coincidence. And he happens to be a killer, and there's a connection there. Because like, what did you do all this? And it's very murky. Like, yeah, I don't even know why the app thing is necessary need. I know he explains it as he was gonna frame him, then he had a change of mind, and now they're gonna frame Roll, and it's like, all right, but again, same thing like you said. Even at the end of the season, okay, they're gonna pin everything on Roll, right? Okay, then what happens then? Like, he's still planning on killing a bunch of people. Like, Roll's in prison. You can't kill anybody else. Like,
though that's a good point that Taylor made, though, about like, because I didn't even think about that. Where like, if it actually went well and Joe was just a regular Joe who got, or I guess Jonathan, like, got free.
Joe, Henry, whatever the fuck his name is.
Like,
nowadays.
yeah, like it makes it so much messier for this guy Rice to just like off the rest of them. I feel like his plan is so centered around Joe being abnormal that I didn't even think about that till now. And like for me too, I felt like one of the most intriguing things so far, like for the season, was those moments when Joe would be interfacing with these brats and like trying to determine if they are the person, because like that's such an interesting dynamic that you have this group of people that are like supposedly losing a friend, even though they just like lack empathy and remorse, but like also from Joe's point of view, one of them knows that he got rid of a bot. Like that's just such an interesting dynamic. And I just think they fell so flat in like the execution of it, because well, what happened? It's like the one normal guy who wasn't ever in the room to interact with Joe and be like, oh, do you know that I know that you know? Like that we had no good moments like that, and that was just. It's like maybe they wrote that and it didn't work out well, so they're like, well, let's just have a lazy version of it, or if they just never materialized
or they
it
just worried
well.
would tip the cap to that it was him. But I just feel like it was a good amount that it could be him. And
Like, what if he was piss guy? What if, like, when he goes to have that drink with him and he just has this, like, really sly reveal that, like, no, I've been working for this, on this for so long, blah, blah, blah. I feel like that's so much more interesting than what we got. Because, no, he's just actually a buffoon, the piss guy. And he's just, it was lackluster.
And I should tell you before we move on, especially from the fucking mayor. But so this is where I got because another hope I was hoping for who the actual killer was. I was actually hoping it was just Joe having a mental breakdown. That was my ultimate hope, that it is Joe the whole time and he hates these people, and that's gonna be the real reveals. Fuck, it is me, and I've really lost it now. Like I'm fucking just killing people and I don't even know I'm killing them. Like, because they've done that a few times where he goes in and out of conscious, and it was always the same thing. I hate it. In season 2 they did this where, I don't know if you guys remember Ellie's sister. He went out of conscious. He woke up. She was dead, and the whole episode was he had to retrace his steps, and that was the big love reveal. That was her. But that was pretty much this again, where he wakes up. William's day. He's like, did I kill him? And the whole episode he's trying to figure out until he gets a text, and he's like, oh, I knew I didn't kill. Well, it's just like they've done this again before. Shout outs to Prince Albert. Wasn't expecting that. That was just like that caught me off guard.
Yeah,
hey, but we're always asked for more cock on screen, so there you go. You's getting the cock out there. Make it equal. But so he Roll, for some reason, and his friends, he's gonna do this jury because they had this conversation before. Remember when we used to be the law, and all these fucking characters that I don't give a shit about watching. But anyway, so they're doing this, and he's like, "We're gonna take it back. We're gonna be the law."
I hate democracy.
Yeah, it's him and like 3 of their friends that are very drugged, and they're all like the very like super hoity-toity rich people, and they plead their cases, and like, yeah, you're gonna kill Joe. This is when it got too far for me, being over top, where they're just in the field. He's chasing with the gun. These other people, I get that they're supposed to be so rich they don't care, but they've just been fine with Joe's gonna get killed. When fucking Kate goes to talk to them, she like grabs an axe to go run on the field, and I'm just like, what am I watching right now? Like, where was that sophisticated You show? And now we just have someone in the woods running around with an axe. We have Joe being chased with like an old British rifle.
I felt like this was like that movie The Invitation or something like some like old British show or Game Night, yeah.
And then to top it all off, they get locked in a soundproof, because Joe starts to scream, and the mayor goes, "Well, don't scream. No one can hear you. No one can hear you." Okay, no one can hear him. And they show this little grate up there. I'm like, I wonder where this grate is. When they get to the grate, it's like right beside the fucking house. It made no
Shut
like
the front door.
Yeah,
Completely soundproof.
it's soundproof, but the gate is bars to the outside world. There's nothing there. So I was like, what's going on here? Like, this made no sense. Like, literally, when they get out in the fire, because it's in the basement, when they get out of the fire and the fire's coming after them, they're leaving like right by the house. And it's like, what's going on here? Like, why did no one couldn't we put this anywhere else? But that means like, so this whole time people have been walking by this house, there's this little grate here, and this grate leads to a dungeon. And guess, sure, that's fine, no one would look at that, but no one would hear him scream at all when the security's out there looking. They don't hear just like anybody. Yeah. It's just everything about that finale episodes of like, I liked the idea of the murder mystery, which Kirklin, have you seen Glass Onion yet?
I have not seen it yet.
This is like the bad version of Glass Onion, because this plot is almost identical. Like, it's the same way of like all the rich people that are friends, but they're like not friends. The murder mystery aspect, even the way it's a minor sports, even the way the murder mystery aspect starts with an arrow, was the discount version of that. They didn't copy it. They didn't know it was being made, but the whole finale, when I think they were trying to make it a very intense and like, oh man, it's all coming to a head, and no one ever thought, fucking someone that was 1-year-old wouldn't think that Roll was the fucking killer. But we spent like 2 episodes now trying to like, I think it's the guy. So I did not like the post mid-season finale at all. They're trying to make it intense. I didn't get there with that.
They did like some really poor camera work, I'd say, just trying to instill like, oh, Joe's being watched by the killer and he's following Kate into the bushes and he's having his little sex session in this park, and it turns out it's just fucking like Phoebe's bodyguard just strutting around.
I fucking laughed so hard when the camera was on him, and yeah, he's like like fucking basically angry jerking watching them go off.
There's a similar scene in Glass Onion. Wait till you
There
see
is.
Kirklin. It's like it's fucking so weird. The show is just an amalgamation of Dexter and Knives Out storylines. It's fucking weird, but yeah. And why is he? I guess he's just watching because he's worried about Kate, but he's just fucking there.
But he wasn't. He like didn't give a fuck about Kate. Like,
Yeah,
it
his
was so
appearances
weird.
were his appearances were so weird. Popping up in the crypt and just taking out like Joe down there. It's like,
That
why the
fucking
fuck is he
character, man.
there?
Yeah, that was such a strange character addition, and like there was a couple moments. Because what episode was that? Maybe the
I
third
think
or
it's
the
third.
second?
Yeah, because the
So-
second is when we see the pissing happen, and then the bodyguard takes the money. From
Yeah.
him, right. Yeah.
So yeah, first 3 episodes. There's so many moments that I feel like Joe just had like serious plot armor where it's like, no, we're not catching him right now because we need to have him over here in the next scene. Let's just not even like worry about the explanation on
writing
why
a
he's not
book.
going to get caught right now. Like
What?
the bodyguard, like no, sorry, not the bodyguard. The like the hitman guy just finds him. Yeah, I'm kind of tired. I just want to retire. I can easily kill you right now, but I'm gonna give you this task that's a lot harder than me probably just killing you right now, and I'm just gonna go off to Nepal. Bye. And you're never gonna see that character again. And like that was such a short moment. And then you have like the bodyguard who just gets you. He gets Joe, and he's like, "Oh no, I got you now, you little fucker! Like I'm basically got you dead to rights." Just like takes his cash, like his lunch money, and just
And
lets
what's
him
the-
go.
And his reason, why are you doing this? I'm writing a book. He's like, oh, okay. You're writing a book.
I remember that when I get caught in a shitty situation.
That was so strange. And like, and then another example I could give is like the weird moments with Marion that we haven't even talked about her yet, but when he gets her locket, I think he just instantly, it's like he's playing Assassin's Creed 2 and all you have to do is just like hit X to like pickpocket people. There's like no effort at all. He just like sprints by her, just quickly grabs
Marianne.
the locket. She's like knows that Joe is after her and is like seriously on edge, but just like leaves her neck out, and then he just gets like the super pickpocket. There was just, and like that was all within 2.5 maybe episodes where it was just like, man, this is so jarring to watch. Like this is just unbelievable now. Like normally Joe does things that are just ridiculous and like, okay, the logistics maybe don't make sense, but like I feel like I can get there. This one, it was out to lunch, especially like the hitman getting him. No, you're free to go. And
Or
then
even what was her fucking name that who dies in the finale of the party, and it's like they're gonna put her in this
Gemma.
Gemma.
They're gonna put her in this crate and roll the like. No one sees any of them get to the like. It was just like there's no fucking way. I know they're all wasted here, but it's just like it was so unbelievable the extent of it. And I guess the body does get found, but that's only because fucking like Roll finds them in the barn and they drop the bracelet. But it's just like it just felt so like people can just die in any room and we can just transport them out of here. You know, it's just yeah, and even the guy, even William's body to get rid of it. He's just like the guys on a lunch break watching the soccer game. I got
Oh my
the full
gosh.
laugh. It's like, all right.
he
I
like
guess-
cleans up the blade and like the work area, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? He's got like a cum rag essentially, and he's like cleaning off this like just gallons of
It's
blood.
drenched.
Like, come on.
And the dude's
Yeah,
gonna walk in and smell nothing.
yeah, and like that's what sucks though is like by the end of last season finale I was like, holy fuck, like this is so intense. Like basically the entire world is feeling or should be feeling this threat that's Joe, and like no, he's not gonna get caught, and there's no signs he's gonna get caught. There's no like peril really. Like he's against the mayor, but I bet the mayor's not gonna make it out of this season. Like
No.
I bet Joe will beat him.
Joe
Get ready
will
for the
beat the
president
mayor.
matchup for next season.
Yeah.
It's just it sucks. It sucks because I feel like the show definitely had me on edge when I was watching like episode by episode last season, and here we are.
I just want to touch upon that bodyguard one more time because
Well,
I feel like
before you
they
do that, let's take our second ad break. We're back. Sorry to cut you off, Taylor.
I feel like they were adding more dialogue in there too when they're at like the wake and the bodyguard just has this like conversation with him and Joe thinks like, oh, he thinks like he doesn't like them either. He thinks
So
we're the
weird.
same, and they start talking like,
I
oh,
love
Joel.
my job. I love
Yeah, yeah, he baits him because Joe's like, yeah, these are all these rich people and how they act and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, I love my job. don't you or whatever? It's like, I don't know.
like last episode, he was like, "Yeah, write that book. Fuck them all. I hate these people." And then like this episode, he's like, "No, she best she know what you're up to." And it's like, and he never tells Phoebe either. He makes this threat. And he never like he literally insinuates
If
this. he goes over to Phoebe, the scene cuts, and I'm like, oh fuck, Joe's in trouble now. Nothing ever comes of it. No, even if it would have been good if something like he mentioned something that when he goes missing and dies, you could have had Phoebe, not maybe Phoebe because she's kind of playing the dumb blonde, but the boyfriend kind of be like, yeah, that's fucking weird. Like he said something and now he went missing, but no, nothing
the reason
happens.
for how he like just fucked off too was so ridiculous. Joe's like burying this body and he's like, oh, and I wrote her a letter saying I'm like retired. I'm like, okay, you have this bodyguard that's like super close to Lady Phoebe that he calls her, and then it's just like sends like a fucking handwritten note or something that
He's like, I knew him well enough to put it in his own words. It's like you knew him for like 2 hours, dude. Like all the time you spent together, like him push you against a locker doesn't mean you know him. But
and there's not even a moment that Phoebe's like, oh, this is weird. Like, okay, he must have just retired. Like we don't even get that scene because the show is like, just so lazy.
Bodyguard?
They're like, yeah, we just got to get this character out of the show. It was
There's no stakes. They're just Joe is in the Hitman game, just killing off NPCs
Literally.
and throwing them in fridges, and no one notices. They're like, where's Rick been this past like?
Must have been the wind.
Yeah, when you're on the yacht episode in Hitman Blood Money and you're throwing people off the boat, no one like it's the main chef. He's been gone for an hour and a half, but no one knows. No one, and no, it's even more ridiculous in those games. Hitman Agent 47 will walk up wearing the chef's clothes, and everyone's like, hey, and that's what Joe can do in this show now. Everyone's like, yo, you're writing a book. Oh, okay, cool. Like it's just like Joe falls from a fucking building and walks back, and security's like, yeah, it looked like he was a little drunk, which I guess you could say, but it's just like he fall off a fucking building and no one's noticing these things, and this is like, and I have to ask you guys this question. So they lock him up in the dungeon, him and Roll get out of there, whatnot. I feel like, and I'm spoiling a little bit, but like the preview made it look like none of the friends know that Reese is the killer still. So why the fuck isn't Joe saying anything?
Yeah, they don't. Well, they implied that because
Why?
it sounded like Joe said something about regarding Reese. But yeah, Reese is just on the TV at that end, like final episode there, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm announcing my run for mayor and all that stuff." And I'm thinking like, this is bullshit. Yeah, why didn't you? The only thing that came out of that was, hey, the killer struck again. So Joe, and
it's not Joe because they were in the dungeon. They're clear, right? But even then, if you don't say it's this guy, are you clear? Because what if those two kill them and just like for a cover went in the dungeon? Like,
but
why would you not say it's
thing? This is the Dexter thing where he's like derailing the cops from finding the ice truck killer, right? Because he wants them all to himself, and maybe that's the thing with Joe. Joe wants this guy all to himself, I guess, for whatever reason. It's just it's so ridiculous, and I feel like if he really wanted to change, he should have. This was his chance. He didn't kill Rao, whatever the fuck his name is. He didn't kill him, and he could have
Rami Malek.
rolled. Yeah, he could have used this to just fully like get his name cleared. But yeah,
and what does he have to lose? Like, I don't know what he would have to lose to like tell Kate, like say, hey, this is the killer. This is what happened. You might not believe it, but I talked to him. We're gonna tell the police. Make sure you're safe. Go take a trip somewhere, and and I guess there's no evidence yet. I guess, but like, wouldn't they? There'd have to be some way to track that he was at this party, right? Whether it's a phone or a car. Like he wasn't at the party, and if there's any cell reception of, hey, what? And I guess there's not cell reception there, right? But like anything of like. I just wouldn't. I don't know, and I guess that's what they're going with. That Joe had no proof to say it was Reese, and I guess I just felt like, oh, this is a smoking gun, and now Reese is going to be on the run. This could be, we'll see what happens here. But no, he's just going to still run for mayor, and Joe's actively seen him kill people. But
it's a good thing Rold was just asleep every time that Reese was in the cell there.
Even then, and because like I guess I'm interested next season for him to tell somebody. But even then, like he didn't run it past him. He's like, yeah, this guy locked us up, and he'd be like, fuck no, like he's one of my best friends. But like he didn't even say anything.
I locked you up, Rold, and I locked myself up because I hate you so much. I just want to stay here with you.
Knowing this show, Roll might come to that conclusion. He might even be like, he might be like, did anyone
my
see?
girlfriend?
Yeah, did anyone see this happen and stuff like that? Oh,
yeah, I also had an issue with the fucking just super pyro like flame start that he had. It's like just a standard like lantern, kicks it home. Okay, I've never seen Ben actually act so much in that one scene when he's just like, Brace, no! Brace, no! It's so quick.
And not well either.
It was like 5 seconds. Less than. It was probably like 2 seconds.
Don't do it! Don't! I'm I'm gonna burn.
Fast cut, and then yeah, it's just like the fucking house is made of straw or something. The entire brick building is just lit on fire. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Took forever to get to them though. Like the fire like went rapidly to a point and then it stopped. Like there was a fucking wall of technicians there with like extinguishers making sure Penn Badgley was not in danger. And he got out of this fucking. How did he get out of those locks? I can't remember.
I thought he just kept like. Was it?
Oh,
the,
his yeah.
The it was like rocks and stuff,
manpower?
and just
Yeah.
like smacking them
And
away.
he kept hitting it, and then he just wiggled.
Yeah, and then they tried to make it look like he was gonna like fucking hit Roll with like a rock or something like that. It's like, why? Why would I believe he's just gonna beat down Roll? They were both duped. They both like because here's the thing: the show tries to make it look like Roll's an idiot because he thinks Joe's the killer. Joe, the entire episode and a half, thought Roll was the killer, so it's like he was also a fucking idiot. Like they both focused on each other. So I never, when he like had that rock and Roll.
Joe, put it down.
Those
Please no.
those two chicks that were in there when Road was just gonna like
Road.
I can't remember his name.
Rolled.
Rolled.
Road. It's a rocky
Roadie.
road. That's what kills him.
Blessing was her name, the one
Yeah.
princess chick.
The princess
and-
and
Yeah.
Simon's sister.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so he's got the double barrel pointed at Joe,
What a
and
scene.
like they're just totally like yeah, fuck him, like just totally. And the other guy was just
him.
totally like
Yeah, fuck him in front.
passed out. And again, Phoebe's boyfriend, I can't remember his name, but he was just egging him on, like, yeah, you ruined my relationship. Like, doesn't mean you kill this fucking guy because she wasn't into wet works, but like, it's just when it goes to like after when Rolled. Right?
Rolling.
When Rolled hunts Joe out into the forest. And then you just go back with Kate and Phoebe return to their friends, and you just see them. They're armed up to the teeth like as guardians. Like, fuck. It was so ridiculous, these characters. Holy shit.
Yeah, and then we got some terrible like I'm a hunter and you're the fox and I'm the hound, and he's like that
I can
scene-
smell your.
Yeah.
I'm hunting peasants. That's what he says.
Yeah, I was about to get there when he's just like, I'm so in tune with my senses, I can smell you.
And then Joe just fucking sprints at him from like 20 meters away.
and Roll is like not high at all. Like, if he was like, I think he's coming off of it and stuff, but.
I think Reese said he had some
has a few
whatever in
chemicals
him.
in
Like
and
when
I
he
think
was
that's what we're
knocked
supposed
out.
to chalk it up to is that they're all fucked up and everything, which I guess. But like even then at the end, Joe says like, "Oh, they kind of apologize, but that's it." So
Yeah, and
yeah.
like leading up to that moment when people were getting or maybe not even sus of Joe, more so just like mad at him. Like you have Phoebe's boyfriend who was just like he wasn't listening to reason. He just wanted to murder someone essentially. I was like getting excited because I thought it was going to be this like dynamic where like Joe is like basically the bunny rabbit, and you just have these like hunters hunting him throughout this castle, but they just like fucked off to the woods, and it was so boring, like, and it was so quick. We had no like cat and mouse really, because our mouse just fucked up the cat instantly as soon as I guess he couldn't smell him anymore.
And
So-
even then, because like he's doing this thing where he's like, when he pounces on him, then he like grabs him by the throat and he's like hitting him on the ground, and then fucking what's his name? The mayor comes out and like knocks him unconscious, and he's like, "Oh, you were really a tiffy there. Like I saved you there." He wasn't. Like he was in complete control of the situation, Joe. Like he was ready to murder Rolled right there, but like the mayor tries to make it look like Joe was dead to rights or something like that. Like that's not what went down at all. He was fine,
Yeah.
but.
You're right, Rice. I really needed your help to get out of that situation.
Yeah, and then
It was exceptional.
I can't wait. I'm so happy we're meeting finally.
I sure did laugh though when Phoebe's boyfriend is just pissed off at Jonathan Moore, I guess you could call him, and then he just like tackles him, and then Joe just like punches him once, and he just like knocks him out, and he
Oh yeah,
he just like ragdolls over.
Joe's fucking
that
Batman, man.
that moment got me for sure. It was funny. Just he was pure anger, but just no strength in him. He just
No.
got knocked out.
Again, just like later seasons of Dexter, Joe and Dexter become unstoppable forces. They can shapeshift and move anywhere they can and get away with anything. Dexter sure used the book example, but that didn't work. But yeah.
On the note of Phoebe's boyfriend, the guy that got decked. So when he ran, like looking for a clue or whatever down that corridor, and he got just confronted by this servant guy. Was like the servant guy's plan just to like let it rain on him just right then and there? Because I feel like it's a bold like timing when you got
No,
people running all
think-
over the house.
I think like what, well, yeah, maybe it was, but even then, fucking, he was doing it in restaurants, right? So it's like,
well, that was behind a locked door, like secure in his
Still, it's in
own
a-
restaurant. It was his own
Yeah.
restaurant.
Yeah, what a cut. What a fucking cut. Like, just to this dude shirtless in goggles getting pissed. I'm like, I got enough enjoyment out of it, but like, I guess I think the fact that it became I liked it at that point. Fun little joke. There we go. And at that point, I thought, okay, this is gonna be Joe's sign. I'm like, well, it's not this fucking guy. Like, this is what he's into. No way. But even after that, Joe's like, he's hiding something, and it's just like, okay, I guess you think it's this guy, sure. But I just hate that it was a reoccurring like with Phoebe of like, oh well, I have a kink, and that becomes a thing, and that's why they break up because she's not poor, and he doesn't like getting pissed on by rich people. Like, I hate that it became a story point. It was just better as a joke. Like, the other time I liked it too is when he gets a call while they're having breakfast, and Kate like looks and she sees Joe. No, and they both know, but they don't want to say that. Like, I liked that, but I wish they just kept it as that, like, came with a fetish. And I don't know if the servant guy wanted to piss on him there. I think like Phoebe was saying that it was kind of insinuating that maybe he was wanting more. Like, it didn't seem like a sex thing. It seemed like wanting a relationship or something thing. But who knows? I think they're together now. At
I
the
thought
end,
it was
'cause
a
she
sex thing. That's how I took it.
Yeah, there you
With
go.
the whole like peeing thing, I just can't. It just makes me think of Horrible Bosses. I just go back to seeing our Reed Richards and
Yeah. First Reed Richards.
You wanted wet work, didn't you?
I have a perfectly good load here, and he has to drop it. Well, we talked about non-spoilers, talked about a little bit. Let's talk about Kate here.
Yeah.
I feel like what they're trying to go for is a Bond Vespa sort of relationship that they had in Casino Royale. But this is like hitting the mark completely, because our introduction is she's a neighbor, like Kirklin says. They hit the fucking night drive music cue, the da-da-da, and then she's masturbating. But again, he walks away. Okay, they cut that off. He sees her getting fucking what was the word? Mugged. You know, not
Yeah,
my
there you
circus,
go.
not my monkeys. But he decides to run over. He saves the day. And then, like, it's just like for episode 1, they know each other. They're in the similar circles. They know each other. And then in episode 2, for some reason, Kate decides he is like the fucking devil Hitler of London. And she just hates his guts for no apparent reasons for the rest of the show up until about episode 4. And it bugged the shit out of me. I did not understand. I wish that they made Joe accidentally at least say or do something where I'd go, okay, I would get this. But it was weird because it didn't even feel like episode 1 that tension was there. It just felt like it was just the meeting of these characters, and it felt like, okay, she might be like a little untrusting, but she didn't feel like a mean individual. But then the rest of the show, they just make her mean, and they eventually explain why she's mean, puts up a tough front. But it just was like, she's not like that with everybody else. And I guess you'd say, oh, this guy's a bit like, he's the poor guy or whatever. Even then, look at his fucking place. He's a teacher. He's supposed to be the poor guy, but like, he's living in the same spot Malcolm was, and his house looks his apartment looks pretty nice. I don't think the chemistry was there, but I don't even think it was a actor's issue. I think it was just how they wrote these characters. How could there be chemistry? And even when my example of Bond and Vesper, it's like there's like a fun still like it starts as like, okay, they're both kind of like fuck you, but then there's like a fun playful banter, and we never got to that point. So this just, again, as far as everything for the U's, we've gone Bex, we've gone In Love, we've gone Marianne. This is the first one that didn't work for me. I was not like, oh, I'm really invested in this. I don't want him to kill her. Of course, I don't want him to kill innocent people, but you know what I mean. Like, it was almost like nails on a chalkboard anytime these scenes were going on, of like the tension of them not getting along, and not something I want to rewatch in the near future.
Yeah, I think that was like my least favorite, honestly, part of this entire season was that dynamic between Joe and Kate, because like, also I agree with what you mentioned there, where I don't think it's like an actor thing, because in like certain moments I'm like, man, this actress is phenomenal. Like, I've never seen her in anything before, but like she's very, very solid. And also like in the initial like sourness towards Jonathan Moore, I keep intertwining the names. I'll just start calling
Same
I'll throw a pen in there too.
Yeah.
So yeah, when she's super sour towards him, that was still when I was like, man, I think she killed what's his name, and like this is why she's feeling like this, because it's like, hey, you're supposed to be in jail. Like I completely framed you. Like it's just such a thorn in the side, and that was intriguing because I'm like, oh, like she is the one that fucking murdered him, and when are we gonna get to there where like it is revealed? And before we got there, she was just like super mad horny for him, and it didn't even it didn't even like seem like a trend, like, oh, she's drunk and she's starting to just see the handsome scholar that is, you know, Jonathan Moore, and like really getting swayed. It's like, no, she just wanted to fuck like anyone, and like Joe just happened to be there, and she completely forgot that she hates Joe. And then like from that point, it's not even like, okay, I got my use out of you, I hate you again. It was just like, it was like a hot and cold situation where like it seemed like in certain scenes she like couldn't stand him, like, get the fuck out of here, I don't even want to see you. And then like later on they're fucking again, but then there's moments when she's like kind of being nice to him. It was like they had two different versions of the character and they just like mixed them together, and it was like Tyler's shit from the menu. Like it was just it was so bad, and it was like nails on a chalkboard, just like the amount that she hated Joe. And then in the next like episode, not even the next episode, it was like the next scene, she's just like a completely different individual. And like, yeah, like I was so checked out at that point, which sucked because like I said, like I can see some great talent obviously from Penn, but also from this new actress that's in here, and I wanted to get that like love Joe dynamic because that was just so well done. And then here we are. I just don't see how this is going to get saved now, because like she did reveal a lot about her to Joe, about her dad and like that dynamic. That's why she's kind of, you know, like put up barriers, I guess, a little bit more defensive or whatever the word I'm looking for. But I don't know. I don't see how this could get like repaired, because I just think like they know enough about each other. Well, maybe he knows more about her than she knows about Joe and all that
I'd say so,
backstory
probably,
and everything.
yeah. Probably a few things he's left out. Yeah.
But it's just the way that it's been handled, like it's such a flop in my eyes, and it really hurts like going forward for the rest of the second part of the season. I'm gonna keep thinking about this, and it's just really, really gonna hurt.
I think now she's just gonna be pining after him now, like that last scene where she want to go for a beer and stuff like that. I don't think we're gonna get the attitude. I think it's just gonna be lots of longing looks and lots of, we can't do this, oh, we should do this. Like I think we're past that, but I just can't get on board with where we are. Like I'm not invested in that. I was, you know, and to bring up what Big Wumbo said, do you all think it should have ended with a love storyline? She was just like him, and I felt like they could have done something more rather than killing her. I agree to like, especially now with what we got, if it's like, hey, would you have rather taken one more season with him in love? Absolutely, because I think actor-wise, that dynamic was really good. Writing-wise, that was really good. They were in a box of they did a lot last season, but they did a lot last season because clearly they went, okay, at the end of season 3, we're going to kill love, right? If you don't do that storyline, I think you could have stretched some things out with those two. And not saying that last year was like, it was like really reduced. It felt like it was warranted for the show, but I think we'll have to see where it does end off, because I necessarily don't want it to end off that way. I've said this before. Now I can definitely feel I don't think we're getting my trial season. That's the thing I always keep pitching. But like, if it's not going to end with one season dedicated to finally the shit hitting the fan and all of Joe's sins in the past, like we've talked about before, from each season there's multiple characters left alive that you could make a case. Like at some point, I feel like, and this is where I don't even know anymore, I just feel like at some point somebody would have to sit down and you could put down all pieces. Now, maybe my hope is that when they kill the mayor character, he leaves like some breadcrumbs. Like he put it all together, right? We have this character now that put it all together, but the problem was he just put it in a room. Joe teared it down. So maybe that there is a way that if he kills the mayor, there's like some safe switch of like, hey, if you kill me, it's gonna be over for you. And Joe doesn't even know. Like maybe an email goes to someone, right? And it has everything. But that to me is really disappointing, because I wish it was one of the characters we met in the past and not the fucking Eat the Rich killer. Like if the Eat the Rich killer is the one that has to take Joe down, that fucking sucks. So I have to see where they actually go. But if they go this route, then yeah, I would have maybe rather them just ended it last year, and even then just having Joe and Love just kill each other. Like it just ends with they couldn't coexist and they took each other down. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. You know, so
it's gonna go like 8 more seasons, maybe even more, 10 more seasons. Then you have his son just appear. Joe's hiding in Canada somewhere. It's
You
called
New Blood.
You New
He's
Blood.
gonna be a
Yeah,
lumberjack.
exactly.
Yeah, I literally at one because I was joking, but at one point when he's talking about leaving again, I'm like, well, I was joking about him being a lumberjack, but I didn't even make it the Jack Dexter joke. I was like, fuck, they did that too. But he had that shadiness. I'm like, oh, he could go do a lumberjack thing. Like, oh no, he can't do that. But
They have, Clancy
prequel
Brown
series.
in that show too.
fuck Clancy Brown, man, that'd be great. He could play Joe Biden. He should play
Venison.
Joe Biden. Yeah. Let's see. And yeah, big one. We'll get to Marianne because I want to talk about Marianne because it was fucking weird. But yeah, Taylor, what do you think about where were you on Kate? The new you.
I honestly, she didn't bother me that much.
That's good.
I liked her character a lot. And I kind of didn't mind their relationship because I felt like I feel like she just threw the shields up because maybe she knew what this could have gone into before Joe did, and so she was just super like shut it down. And I feel like we just see it mostly from Joe's perspective, where he's just trying to shut it down, doesn't want to pursue it, but he can't help it because the whole situation keeps reeling him in, and he's unconsciously, unintentionally just being diverted to kind of keeping her safe and protecting her. And this doesn't feel like it's just his classic cliche love where he's trying to create this fake relationship or create something fake out of nothing. But I genuinely feel that they are coming together based on the situation around them. They're both in a stressful situation. They're both under duress. And so I kind of like that it's naturally forming for them where it's always been under his control in the previous seasons. So that's probably more on the positive side for me.
So then how do you think that's going to play out now that, she's into him and stuff? Like, because, is it something like there's a situation where her, Joe, and fucking the mayor are all in a room and mayor, gives out his dirty laundry to even her, right? Because, as right now, she's like, oh, yeah, he's a bad past. But it's like, this guy's killed multiple women. Even then, there's been some people that are mixy. But even the first season, Bex, regular woman that did not deserve to die. He just killed her because she cheated on him and pretty much that. Well, I guess no, she was trying to run away, but sorry, Bex, you tried your best. But there's a stream of just innocent people. What do you think is the result of this one? Does it go a further season? Does something happen to Kate?
I think something happens. Again, I feel like, would it be a plot twist if maybe the student gets killed by the, because I could feel like he could
I said
really...
a plot twist.
Well, I feel like because the student's very separated from this whole group, except the Michael kind of connection. That's the one thing. So it would be interesting to see if they kind of do a twist here, and because maybe Rice sees that Joe is very connected with the student and just kind of sees that they're friendly, and maybe he just goes to kill or kidnap the student and just pulls.
So how does that relate to
it.
Kate?
Well, because I was thinking I thought
Kate's
Kate would
driving.
die initially, and maybe Rice would be the one to kill her. But now I'm thinking what if they just kind of split that around and flip it where the student gets kidnapped or whatnot, and then maybe that's when it comes out. And either way, I don't see Kate sticking around, but I feel like she has a high chance of dying. So it's hard for me to really pinpoint.
Yeah. Well, let's take our last ad break and then we'll be right back. And we're back. Kirklin.
Joe always finds these ladies just super, super powerful, rich families. And, if he keeps just offering them, eventually one of the last hitman was just luckily retiring, so he didn't want to deal with Joe. But what's this next guy going to do when he takes out Kate?
Well, let's talk about that because Big One, he has a Marianne question about him saying that she could break it all down. And that could be true because that could bite him in the ass where the hitman did say, hey, she's the only person who knows you're alive. You should take her out. This fucking storyline, talk about a way you could get from 10 episodes to 9. Why did we need to do any of this? Why did Quinn's dad have to somehow know that Joe faked it all and was alive and he's out there somewhere? And we need this hitman. And Kirklin talked about, this hitman's had a change of heart, doesn't want to kill anymore. He's done. But then he needs Joe to do this convoluted plan of, well, you're going to give me some money and I'll give you this identity, but then I also need to kill Marianne, which this guy who found Joe, no one else has found Joe, he found Marianne. He knows the exact time Marianne's getting on that train. So you're telling me he wouldn't know that Marianne would get off that train? The second she uses her credit card, he's like, the fucker didn't kill her. He sent me a picture of Lockett and she's still alive. It's so convoluted. And no, it was weird because I thought, and I guess how it is okay. this is how Joe got his new identity, right? But they had the guy literally say, well, Love had this secret bank account that was drained before you left. And I guess that's the reason why Quinn's dad thinks that Joe's out there. But either way, just have Joe say, yep, I got a bunch of Love's money when I left. That helped me create a new identity, and I'm here in London. That's all I needed. I didn't need anything more. And even the stuff with Marianne, I even didn't like their interaction in that stairwell. I just didn't find whatever chemistry they had last season. I didn't feel like it was really there. And now it's different because like she's supposed to be scared. And I did like the touch that when he found her in the streets, she like smiled first, but then realized like, oh right, no, this guy was a fucking insane person. And I guess this idea of I'm gonna show you I'm a better person, like she's gonna come back, but I think it actually would have just been stronger if we hadn't seen her yet. I think it could have waited because I don't think it was as impactful as they wanted. And I think they could have even implied like they had talked, but maybe we don't know. Did he kill her? Did he not? I don't know. So I think everything from the Quinn's dad, the hitman, Marianne, none of this stuff really worked for me here.
The Marianne's thing, it seemed like they introduced it last season with her interacting with obviously Joe and Love. And then it's like, oh, this would be a good idea for next season. And then they just like kind of changed their mind with what they're going to do.
Yeah,
but they're like, oh, but we
Yeah.
have this Marianne stuff.
Yeah.
So like it was.
But just leave it a mystery then. Leave it as like, give one, like show Joe with the locket, and we think fuck, and don't answer it. You could answer this at a later time, but you don't have to answer it now. But I think you're right that they at the time probably thought, oh, we're gonna go with Marianne still as the you, and maybe it's a thing too. Like she was in Uncharted. Maybe it's a legitimate thing. Like, hey, I can't do you season 4. Like I'm busy and stuff like that. Like things have changed. Whatever it may be, I agree with you that I feel like that was maybe what happened, where that was the route they thought they're going, but then someone went, what if we didn't eat the rich killer? And fuck, here we are. Maybe they should have went with plan 1.
Fuck.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I'm with you guys. I think it's such a shame that literally in the first episode we got our whole explanation to the Marianne storyline, everything like that with the hitman and all that jazz. So I feel like that was just really, really unfortunate. They should have showed the locket and kept it a mystery. So
remember when the fucking hitman just FaceTimes him like, dude, it's not me.
Yeah.
I told you not to contact me on FaceTime.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, now I gotta ruin the phone. But like, it felt so weird that this hitman guy would not text him, not phone him. He would FaceTime to be like, yeah, man, it's not me. I don't know who's hunting you, but it's not me. I'm fine.
Why wouldn't he
But he
block
knows.
the number after? He put it in the phone. I'll give him that. Like, text me when it's done. But then after that, he gets the photo to confirm that like Marianne's been killed. Then block the number.
Gone. Yeah. It's just so.
He's like,
just
who's
fucking-
this? Who's FaceTiming me right now? Let me check this out. Yeah, it's so unbelievable that like a hitman would just take a FaceTime call. It was very, very weird.
And I guess
the
you could
way-
argue maybe Joe had a new phone and he didn't know, but it's just like, if
Who are
I
you?
get,
Yeah.
if I don't answer phone calls from numbers I don't know. If it phones and it's not a contact, you better shit as believe I'm not going to open a FaceTime from a no person, let alone I'm a hitman. In this world, I'm a hitman, and I'm going to open up FaceTime. And it's just like, fuck. It was so dumb. Because what if it's not Joe? What if it's someone else from his past? Like,
He turns on the FaceTime. It's like, sir, are you happy with your cell phone provider?
yeah.
Just
You didn't
like
fucking
a
kill
FaceTime
Joe. I saw a
telemarketer.
picture of him.
Which
Which they're gonna do because remember twice they showed that female photographer in episode 2.
Yeah, they keep
Oh,
showing
yeah.
her.
Ship I'm up
Yeah.
like unless she's gonna
Creepy
fuck him.
eyes.
So I feel like something's gonna happen. I feel like that might be the cliffhanger for this season. Is someone's gonna see a photo of him somewhere, or she's gonna give it, and then maybe that'll be.
Probably.
I'm curious who that character is gonna be. Hopefully it's not fucking the mayor, but.
That hitman, she could be working for the mayor. That's not a bad idea. But the whole hitman conversation, where yeah, it's true. I told you not to call this number one, but that's exactly what he says. The thing that he says in that conversation, where Joe's like, "Oh, you're sending me texts."
He thinks he's the
and all
stalker.
that. He thinks he's a stalker. He's like, "You're sending me. I'm getting your text messages," and he's getting all mad, like, you're killing people. So you want me to start a new life? And he's like, "Well, for once, like, I'm happy to say I don't know what you're talking about." Like, it's so nonchalant.
It was just many mistakes were made in this season. That was one of them. Of just cut the screen time, cut the episode. You can do a couple episodes a little longer. This didn't need to be 10 for that reason, because I feel like the Marianne Hitman stuff at least takes up about 20-ish minutes, and most of the episodes are about 45 minutes. So that's like half an episode right there. Disperse that 25 minutes into the other episodes, make them 50, and we're good. Like it was a weird choice. I just yeah, I don't know.
Speaking upon just poor decisions, I this is another thing that I just had an issue with, which is just like the overall situation that Joe gets himself in, because he has a new life, he has a different name, new continent, new country, doing all these things, and like I get it, he didn't really want to be like in this social circle with these like super just like rich influencer type people that are just getting photographed all the time 24/7, and he's just hanging out with them, and like he didn't want to be there initially. He saved Kate, so they imply that he has to go with them, and
you can never just say, hey, I got diarrhea, I can't go tonight.
Yeah,
He
you
always
know me,
has to
I'm great
go.
at ducking parties. Come on, Joe, like ask me about it. No, and it was so weird, because I'm like, okay, shit's starting to hit the fan. Just fucking move, buddy. Like just go somewhere else. Europe is so close. You could go to another neighborhood, let alone like another country if you wanted to.
Because he can take that identity with him. He can still be Jonathan Moore, the teacher. He already got a job, so
he
it's
didn't even like know these people at that point before he like fully committed to just like getting intertwined with their lives. And like if he's just a guy on the run, it just seems like he's really rooted where he's at, and it's like, no, I'm gonna live or die with Jonathan Moore in this house that I have.
If he moves now after someone being killed, then I mean that's suspect.
Well, now he
one.
missed the bandwagon, or not the bandwagon. He missed the train out of town like Marion did, because he's stuck. The mayor knows him.
Yeah, and he's gonna frame him until the butler found that finger on him. God damn.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, that was such a weird moment too. When he's like, "What's this?" And he just pulls like the ring out of his
I guess
ass,
the ring,
essentially.
right? Not the finger, but yeah, his ring. And then they show a flashback of a bunch of people that bumped into Joe, and he must have dropped the ring. But again, just same thing of like, when was the mayor gonna call the police? He dropped the ring on him, so when was he gonna call the police on him? Like, when was that gonna happen?
He
I
told
don't
his
think it
bodyguard
was gonna
guy
happen.
to give
I
him
think
a
it's his bodyguard. I don't know. It was obviously meant for someone. I don't think he had any idea that it was gonna be the bodyguard that was gonna pull the ring off of Joe. And again, like that's another reason that I suspected it was the girl, because when that person bumps into him at that one like hallway scene, like you see her from the back, and it totally fits the bill of being the student. So I
mean the
I
big
don't know.
dude that bumped into him?
No, because it was long black hair.
Taller than Joe. Like,
Excuse me, sir.
Could have been her in stuff like put some like padding newspaper in her shoes.
Yeah, like stilts.
Yeah.
The Heat the Rich killer. Run for your lives. She's in the field with a gun on stilts. Just, oh my god, damn this fucking show. And yeah, didn't talk about Simon. I got nothing more to say on the Friends. I was trying to think about anything else, and no, they're all.
Who's Simon? Oh yeah,
He's the
they're-
photographer.
That's how bad it is. Who is Simon? We've talked about him already in this review, but yeah, he's the painter, and they give him this fucking storyline where he's ripping off people's art, and there's some fucking druggie. The storyline really goes nowhere, cause and I hate the cliffhanger. It's like episode 3 where Joe goes to a party and the cops like take him out. It's like, we really need to talk to you, Jonathan Moore. And it's looking really bad. And the episode ends. And
rolls
then episode 4,
credits.
they're like, thank you for that information. It's really working out. Anything
Yeah.
else? No, we just want to say, okay, thanks. Fucking just call him. You don't need to arrest him and take him away from his friends. To literally just be like, just thanks for the tip. That's it? Yeah. Okay. It's just everything. Like, I hate, and the show's done that before, where they build like dramatic tension for like stuff that's not really there. But this felt like very egregious of, do something. Just be like, hey, we got some video footage of you being at this place. Why were you there? Like something where it's like, okay.
We found this piss in someone's house that was murdered a couple seasons ago.
Yeah.
What the hell is this all about?
You ever pissed in someone else's jar?
You ever pissed on someone?
Yeah. He's like just trying to suss out the guy. Like, do you know? Yeah.
Well, you know someone's in here is getting pissed on.
Yeah. Anything else we haven't hit on? I'll look at my notes to see.
Is there any other friends we haven't touched upon? I don't think
William,
so.
he was owed a bunch of debts. That was his thing, and he had a book.
Oh,
and even then, like, I get it. It was truthful when they sleep together. They're at Kate's place. and he's like, hey, I got a student, this note and everything like that. But I'm sorry, this fucking random guy's in your house and you catch him just going behind a painting of yours, like taking shit, and then like that.
Even she didn't know about the painting though, because she seemed shocked.
I know, but still, just like that to me, I would have bought like, okay, this is why she should be pissed at him. This guy was going through her fucking place, but this was 3 episodes later. So, but then next episode, she's fine. I get it happens, but I absolutely hated that the fact she kept her blinds open all the time. She had to like open the door so you could see her burn the thing. Like
Her
it's
lingerie.
just like, oh my god!
Oh,
like,
I'm
it was
totally
just
gonna
too-
wear this weekend.
Yeah, it was just too much of like they did it with Bex, but Bex, I get it. She was supposed to be like a young, dumb, like, oh look at me, like whoever. Love, he was like watching with a fucking telescope from across the fucking city. And then in 3, I don't think 3, I guess it was a neighbor, but that was different because the neighbor was like actively like she was flirting with Joe, right? Like the older woman, like so she was doing that. This was just. Hey, and even the William guy's like, oh, what, you having a yank at my girl? And like, hey, that's one thing the show did a good job. I fucking hate that character. Thank God he was gone episode 1 because I was fucking like, I can't take this actor anymore. And God, it was good. So
Don't want a friend like that.
John Boy, Travis Boy. Yeah, no, I would.
Travis Boy.
I wouldn't want that. Travis Boy.
Take me out for drinks tonight. That one character, the one that died in the latest death in episode 5, Gemma. Holy
What a piece of shit, eh?
fuck. What a piece of shit. Everything she's talking about.
What do you
like,
mean? I
just-
don't think anything was wrong with her. No.
Oh my god. I don't like to hate people. I don't, but this character,
Fictional
I
character,
just
fictional
despise this character. And yeah, when she makes the servant go down to be the hoop, I thought this is so disgusting. Oh my god, the guy just looks so. I thought he could have fit the bill as the killer. He just looks so like he quivered when the
Imagine
ball
that.
went through his legs too. I thought, fuck this poor man. I pick up the fucking I grab the croquet mallet and like break it over my knee and tell him to fuck off, and then I'd leave. Like I wouldn't
Roll
stand
would
for that
shoot
shit.
you with his double barrel gun.
Yeah,
Like,
roll-
we're the
roll
law.
for
You're the killer.
Yeah.
Down with democracy.
He was
Kate
gonna
picks
kill
bad
us.
men.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I think that was good because like they also just made like it's funny though because when she died, every character just didn't care that she died. Like, oh yeah, it's fine. You know.
I like when Phoebe, I'm seeing there's just like blood everywhere. Kate finds her. It's like, oh my god, big tension moment, and then she just like explains what happens. It's like, oh yeah, no, I'm totally gutted, but like, you know, whatever. And then she's like, I'm just glad it wasn't you.
Yeah.
Yeah, she used to get her driver to intentionally hit pheasants with her car. Now she's lying with them, so it kind of makes sense. Like, what a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
Oh,
And the only other note I had because I paused it just to see, I hated that it was minute 9 mark when Joe had like looked at Kate and they were already doing the like, who are you? I can't get in. I think even at minute 9 she's like about to masturbate, and I was like, they couldn't have held off for any longer. To like, I know we knew from the trailers, but just feel like so quickly. It's like, yeah, this is a girl. This is who's gonna be. Because even the whole time when he's like, oh, I can't get involved and I'm not interested or I can't be interested, we know the way it's gonna go down and stuff. And sure, episode 5 he says, oh, we can't be together, but we got fucking 5 more episodes to go, and I'm sure they'll get together and stuff. So. More window looking. Close your fucking blinds, Joe, if you really don't want to be in a relationship, all right? You can stop it. So
he's Googling and everything.
One other
yeah.
thing that crossed my mind while I was watching this season was, like, I don't know if Joe's just lost some of his like suaviness or like just super like clean like charisma that he's had in previous seasons, or if he's just always been this same character. Because there's so many moments when he would like just not even like say anything. Like he'll literally walk into a room and then a character would talk to him and then he would have internal dialogue with what they're saying and not say anything, and then the character would just be like, okay, and then like move along. And I'm like, that is so fucking weird if you just like mute his internal dialogue. 'Cause it's like someone came up to talk to him and he just like is literally like blank face with them and then just goes along. And there was so many other moments when he just like, I didn't believe that these people would find him interesting and like want to talk to, because he just kind of like sits in the corner, doesn't say much, and just
he doesn't
just,
say much at all at these parties. He's
No,
just kind of
and-
around. Yeah.
and it's just like, man, like it's like NPCs are coming up to him to say something and he just doesn't acknowledge them and they just keep walking, and like there's no reaction there to like holy, this guy's kind of fucking weird, eh? I just came up and had a conversation with myself. He didn't say anything. Like, you think that'd be something that you would talk to your friends about. Hey, who's this weirdo? He came in. Everybody's just fucking dying now because he got introduced. Like, just a little bit sus. I don't know. And maybe I was just because I wasn't having a good time of, like, in this season. I was just nitpicking little things and just trying to test myself on what else really pisses me off about the show. Because, yeah, I was just like, I feel like in previous seasons, Joe's been very, like, he'll say something, I'm like, oh, he's very witty, he's very smart, he's very well read. You know, he has this, like, I don't know, ambiance to him that I could believe that he's just seduces, like, everyone around him, and he's just, like, totally loving, and you just want to get to know him. I didn't really get that feeling, like, at all throughout this season, and it's just like, I have to remember that Joe's the protagonist. Joe is this really book guy who thinks he's better than everyone because he's like, he reads books and all this stuff and he can, like, quote famous authors, but it's just like it didn't shine through to, like, if I was a new character meeting him. It's just I would have found him really dull and lame, and I just, again, like, I was kind of having to question myself. I'm like, has he always been this way? And I just really like the things that were going on around the character, but because it's kind of shit around him right now, I'm just really, I don't know, nitpicking him. I don't know. It's just a thought that crossed my mind.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
like,
it wasn't positive.
I just didn't think they gave us a reason. Their excuse was Phoebe found him smart and really liked him, so Phoebe just kept inviting him to all these things. And it was just super lazy because it felt like he didn't fit in at all as far as, like, why they would want him there. It just, like, because who's talking to this guy? Who's friends with this guy? They eventually make him somewhat friendly with the piss guy and Phoebe because Phoebe also tries to seduce him. I liked the cock candles.
Yeah,
was
that was
great.
funny.
Got a mold of all my lovers, but yeah, it was very. Don't you? It was very just two hand wavy for me of, okay, Phoebe is obsessed with him. And the thing is, like, we just kept getting characters tell him that, and it didn't really feel at any point Phoebe was, like, really wanting to hang out with him. Just like, oh, well, he's here because Phoebe wants, like, at the funeral, or he's at Shane's art show because, like, oh, or Simon because, like, oh yeah, Phoebe wants him here. It's just like, okay, cool. You know, it was very strange. So yeah, I
To
completely agree.
Big Wumbo's last comment here, Joe lost too much blood when he cut off those toes. Now he's kind of slow. Could that be tying into your theory there, Travis? If they go the route that he's like, there's no mayor killer, it's like actually just in his mind because he cut off his toes and he didn't get it clean, so now it's infected and he's got some, like, rare neural disease. Is that a better season, you think?
Oh yeah, I still think it. But the problem is now we got fucking Rise going around being like, "No, it's me," and was your dick hard, like all that type of stuff.
Oh my
like,
gosh, that
like,
was so weird.
Yeah.
And then when he killed that guy, he's like, "My dick's soft. My dick's
never
real
been
soft."
Yeah, he's like, it's the softest it's ever been. That line did get me. I was like, okay, that was fun, but it was. No, I liked it, but no, I think we're on a full on collision course to the rest of the season will be Joe versus Reese or Rise or whatever.
Get
the
that
fuck
Civil
his name
War
is.
poster up where it's
100%. Friends versus friends. Yeah. And you're going to have, like, the Hitman on one.
March 9th.
Yeah.
Friends
but
clash.
yeah, I think it's going to be, can they outwit each other? And that doesn't. We had that last year with Love, and, like, you can't top that because that was, like, a lover. That was the mother of his child. Like, that was the peak of that type of storyline. That's why it was so well done, because, like, it's supposed to be the person that they're supposed to be partners, but they've turned on each other. Love was, when you look at those two halves of that season, it started rocky. They got therapy and kind of worked it out, but that's why she was a great big bad, because it was like a slow fester one where it's like, fuck, she can't be stopped. And it literally was down to them having dinner. They got to take each other out. Who's going to strike first, right? And Joe got it, and now we're already back here. But it's a much more boring situation where it's just, again, my other hope is they try to hint at that, because he was saying, like, hey, you just don't see it. Like, you are like me. The problem is I just feel like they should have had Joe do some more bad shit this season. But again, if we can maybe get to that point where the mayor is pointing out, like, hey, look at all these things you've done. You think you're a good person. I hope we can get there. Maybe that'll get us back on track to where the show is, because this is the first time where we've watched it just halfway through, right? And there could be a version where we got all 10 episodes and we go, hey, it started rough, but the back half, it got better. So if they could try to tie into the mayor trying to shine a light to Joe of, like, you might think you're a good person, or you might think this is, like, a mistake, but, like, you're the issue. And then if, like I said, the mayor happens to reveal it to Kate, the public, whoever, that photographer, maybe they get involved. I don't think it's completely dead in the water yet, but I'm not excited by it because of just what's happened in the previous 5 episodes, just the writing standard right now. So I feel like it's not, oh god, flatlined yet, but we're at that one where it's like it's flatlined for a while and you get like the one heartbeat. It's close, and I still like enjoyed the show enough. It's just that it's when you go to a restaurant and you get a dish and it's always really good, but then you go one night and it's just not as good as usual. Oh, like this is still fine, but it's not like if it's a new cook or maybe they burned it, whatever it may be. That's what this is, where it's like, yeah, I can eat it and it's still serviceable, but it's not the way it usually is, you know.
Well,
So,
you know what it can get to. You know what it can
Exactly.
taste like. You know how good it can be, and so it's definitely upsetting when you get that.
but
What
then
was the
what the problem is, you're going to come back the next time, like, oh, I'm going to try again. And that's when we'll see with the next part. They're going to say, oh, that chef, he left. And you're going to be like, oh, shit. And that's what
He's
we're
in
going to
the
find
Hitman
out.
game?
Yeah,
he was getting peed on in the back of the kitchen.
That's how your food tastes so good. He was freaked and pee. But like that he coked it. But that's what we're going to find out next season or in a month with the next part. Was it just a hiccup and a bad night, bad meal prep, or is that chef gone? And I feel like the chef's gone just because I don't feel there's enough. But
He's in the water. Fucking Agent
Yeah.
47 tossed him over the rail. What was the
Yeah.
explanation why it was a not a mini series, like a split series?
They didn't. They just, I
Yeah,
think, for ratings. And even the creators are
gonna
like,
say,
they're like, oh, when you get to episode 5, you're gonna understand. Like people, they're gonna need a break. And it's like, no, I don't feel
didn't.
so
I
fucking
could
like.
use a break.
Well, I guess so. Yeah, you're right. That's why I feel like this is shit. But like, they try to pitch us and give me this big reveal, and my hope was, dumb me, was like, oh, in the middle of the season, it's gonna end with someone like him getting arrested as like Joe Goldberg, him being fucked, and that's why we would think, oh, it would happen in the middle of the season, and then the rest of the season is whether it's a trial, whatever it is, like that. Like I was hoping there was like a big secret surprise like that, like oh fuck, because then for a whole month we'd be like, man, he's caught. What's gonna happen? How's he gonna get out of this? No, now our thing is we're looking forward to him versus the eat the rich killer. Like that's the
Yeah.
hype. Like I feel like it does the opposite, where people will forget about it because it's like a lackluster story. I don't know. I'm excited to see other people watch it, but I have a feeling Dylan will be similar to us, and I think most people will be similar. Like I think people will still like it, but I just don't know if people are going to be very hyped for part 2. You know, maybe we're wrong. But
Yeah. Because when I was watching it, I thought the killer reveal was gonna take longer. I thought it was gonna be spaced out more. But the fact that it just like rounds to episode 5 and that's where we are, it's just like, I know what you fuckers are doing. You had this idea of 2 mini seasons, so you can just totally bank off of the hype or whatnot. But who knows? Maybe this will hurt it. 'Cause now everybody's gonna see this first part, talk about hopefully how bad it is, because it deserves to be talked about in that regard, because it's not the quality that we've seen.
they can't change it though. It's already filmed. Like it's
Yeah,
out next month, right? So it's done.
I'm curious how different that second part will feel, because we're not having him get all obsessed over someone again, find another individual masturbating in the window. So
I think
we're
it's just going to
getting
be
right in the battle.
him killing those people off one by one and a race for Joe to try and get him before he gets to Kate. That's what I think it's going to be. And it's not even from the previews. The preview shows lots of stuff. I think there is, like, I don't know if it was an old scene. I'll give you another minus, but I think they're bringing Victoria Petrari back for like a ghost episode. So that, at least to give you guys something to be excited for, it looked like there was new footage of her. So I'm like, okay, if there's at least one episode of her being like a ghost, it's like, okay, we can have some fun there. And I'll like that because she's great at that role. So that's my one nugget of, okay, I'm excited to see her again, but I just wish she wasn't dead, you know. So
We got like one scene of him talking about past events. And again, this season does feel so disconnected from the previous seasons. But like the one moment where he's confessing to Kate about how he had a son and things with with his ex-wife, like I would have loved to have seen more emotion of that, him talking about his son, because that genuinely broke him down in that moment, and it was really like intense. And I feel like, yeah, we should have more of that connection to what he's gone through in the past. And like the only connection that we have to the past is like he's just gone through shitty situations and he's just trying to come out as like not being in love or falling for a girl. But I'd like to see him just kind of like reel more from like, yeah, his kid, which we had a whole season of him with his kid. That was a big deal, but he's just completely just shafted aside. So
hopefully we get that the next part, right? Because she does know that now, and she learned that in, what was it, episode?
even Joe forgot the name of his son. So
No, he didn't forget the name of his son. He just didn't want to say it. And plus, he named him after 40, right? So he hates that name. So, anything else?
I don't think so.
obviously it's different because of half season, but I'll ask you guys, what would you rate this half season so far? Because it's a part 1, so I feel like we can rate it by itself and stuff like that. So,
Out of 5, and then they accumulate at the end. How are we doing this?
yeah, sure. That changes my rating. Yeah, sure. I could go out of 5.
I'm gonna go with 2. I'm gonna have to fail it.
Oh, we
Unfortunately.
failed it.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
okay.
I had just had issues with, again, the believability of just some of his actions in the beginning.
Look at Big
Kate's-
Wumbo. You scared him. He said 4.5, then you said out of 5. And he said, "Oh shit, out of 5." No, Big Wumbo, big score there,
Big fan,
4.3.
big fan, yeah,
No,
4.3.
it's no. Sorry, Big Wumbo. We're gonna remove that comment now. It's gone.
Yeah, it's just like I said, there was some glimmers where I was like fooled, because I'm like, man, like the show is getting good. But then it would end, and it's like, oh yeah, no, we got Reese here. We have Kate just going on and off of like loving Joe and hating Joe, and yeah, he was also like fast traveling so much in like the early episode.
yeah.
It just seemed like he was just bouncing to different moments and scenes, and just it was like all internal dialogue. It's like, oh, I should check this out, and then like you blink and he's just there, and it was very disjointed and weird. So hopefully the second part will save it, but as of right now, yeah, I'm gonna fail it.
I'll go next because I'm the same score as Kirkland. I think out of 10 I'd be like out of 5, but I'll give it even then I guess it'd be a fail. I'd be like a 4. I don't know. Out of 10 I'm a 5. On this scale I think I'm a 2 out of 5 because I think I was leaning to like a 6 or like a 3 out of 5. But I think it's just because like I watched it and I was pretty disappointed with it, but I thought, okay, I at least enjoyed some parts of it.
Yeah.
But when we've talked about it here, I guess I do apologize. And Sam, I also apologize as you enjoy the whole thing. But I just feel like it's not us trying to do on purpose. We just talked about rarely any positive things, and not to me extent of, for me, I felt like, okay, I want to just be negative, rag on it. I just don't have many positive things to say about it. That's the thing, especially now once we talked about it. There's a few moments here and there, right? Oh, we laugh, but I had more positive stuff about us like memeing on things, and that's where I feel like it probably has to be below a pass mark because I don't think there was enough good stuff. All I can say is, hey, I still like Penn Badgley as Joe, but
Yeah.
it's not like a level up. It's not like always doing some new stuff here. We did see that Reese, no, like we got that, but other than that, there's nothing new here really, and it's just yeah. So I guess that's where I am, like a 4.5 out of 10, a 2 out of 5. I'd be with Kirkland there. That this first half I have to fail. Hopefully even the back half at least gets me to a passing grade overall, but yeah.
There was a scene, oh my gosh, I like actually just rolled my eyes so heavily. It was when Joe was like shadowing Kate, and she's just for some reason making all these phone calls about like looking for her boyfriend right in front of Joe, and that's where I'm like, hey, she's the killer, because this is so obvious. It's like every time, where are you, honey? Where are you? Oh, there's Joe. Okay, yeah, where are you? I'm looking
Which
for you.
happens episode 3. All of episode 2, her boyfriend's missing for like 24 hours. She doesn't even say anything. No one asks. He's just gone.
So fast forward, then she's in front of like a floral shop, and Joe is literally like from me to Travis away, like like basically 2 feet. And then he's like locked eyes with her, and she's just like texting or something, and he's just like staring at her from right around the corner, and then she starts walking right at Joe, and all he does is just like face the wall. just goes on his phone. And man, it was so fucking lazy. Like, are you kidding me? Like, someone that I haven't seen in like 10 years would recognize me in that moment. And like, this is like a super sus individual that she just really despises right now.
I'm gonna try it on you. I'm gonna follow you. I'll try it on you. See if you can spot me.
Like, Taylor? Taylor?
Kirkland pulls out a gun. Back the fuck up. And then Kirkland, and then Taylor's like, Kirkland, no.
Yeah, sorry. I had to
that's fair.
mention that scene because that was just so ridiculous. I was like, oh my fucking God, are you kidding me here?
Well, I thought in that moment she was gonna call him out, which later on she does at one point when he's looking at her through the apartment. She sees him, but I thought they were gonna do that there, and they didn't. She didn't see him, so
She did not see him.
David Field, end us off.
This is an easy 2 out of 5 for me. I'm with you guys every step of the way. You guys have said things that I would only reiterate. So it's just, yeah, there are things that I feel like they should have done differently. The writing is noticeably different. I'm a big fan of that season 1, season 2, season 3. Like, it was still really good at times. Like, it started to get more humorous, but like I really liked that originality of season 1, and maybe it was just the amount of time between not having Dexter around anymore and getting this show having that similar kind of notion, but he's just in his own right just a more different, equatedly sick, twisted character, but still has
And
tropes
now we got
from
new
Dexter.
blood, and we're like, no, sorry.
Yeah, so this is just, I'm hoping that that next half will bring something new and just kind of like something new, something old that I like. And because right now this weird mediocre purgatory like piece that we're diving into right now is not doing it for me. The murder mystery
Tyler's
thing,
shit from the
not
menu.
Tyler's shit from the menu. Yeah, the murder mystery is not jiving with me in this sense. I like a good
Well,
murder
there's no
mystery.
murder mystery
but-
anymore now. That's solved, right? Because we know the murderer. So now it's the
Now it's
and like
just lousy writing.
yeah, and like I said, the trailer is just like it's a lot of them fighting, slamming doors in each other. Like it's like, and
my
it's like
brother, Jonathan.
yeah. So you're not getting the murder mystery at least next episode or next season or part, Taylor.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Well, Joe doesn't even fight, so I'm curious that he just honks horns in the season.
He
apparently,
fights. He's
so.
got a couple moves, you know, stuff like that.
Just honks.
Just honks horns.
I saved you.
Well, we will be back come time March 9th. And I can't remember, was there something funky with that date? I remember looking at it being like, oh, of course it's that day. What is it? Oh, yeah. For me, it's fucking... Well, it'll be later on because it's the same day as 65 and Scream 6. So, and the fucking Last of Us finale. So, but we'll figure it out. I think it'll probably be the same thing. Probably the Saturday. Give us, it drops on the Thursday. Probably it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday to watch it.
That's a steep competition. This show's premiere is going up against the Last of Us finale.
No, it's just the same weekend of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it's the Thursday, Last of Us on the Sunday. Yeah, no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
it drops the same day though as 65 and Scream 6. So for me, that's like, ugh, that sucks. But luckily, I'm not as like feeling like I'm missing out now. I'll just get to it, so we'll close off this chapter here. But it's not like, oh man, I gotta watch you. But it's like, oh, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. So, but we will be back in a month to review season 2 or part 2. Sorry, fuck, never do this again. And I promise you, won't be boring.
Bye-bye.
Bye.